Michelle and I have had our Tesla Model Y for 60,000 miles.
3 years.
I can't believe we put in that many miles on our car in just 3 years. We've had our Tesla 2021 Tesla Model Y 7-seater with our family of 5, and we are going to share our full experience with you guys now. All the things we love and
the things we don't love,
to hopefully help you decide whether or not this is the right car for your family.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel.
We are going to talk all about our 2021 Tesla Model Y 7-seaters. We actually took delivery in March of 2021, so we're like 2 months short of a full 3 years. But we've put a little bit over 60,000 miles on our car in that time frame.
Lots of different states that we've driven to and through, and tons of trips.
A whole lot. I think it's important that you guys know about us and how we use the car, because how you choose to use a car may be completely different than how we do. We are a family of 5. Our 3 boys, as of posting this video, are age 15, 13, and 8. 2 of them play travel soccer, which travel soccer leads you on all sorts of adventures all over the place. And we bought it as a daily transport vehicle for us and our entire family of 5. We have taken it on many road trips.
Furthest is Florida, but Myrtle Beach, New Jersey beaches. We've gone to Virginia.
And if you're new to the channel, we're based right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And of course, we've documented it all. So if you haven't seen any of those videos, make sure to binge watch after watching this one and check out some of those road trips. Actually, while you're down there, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel too, so you don't miss any of the future stuff we release.
My daily vehicle, so I use it to and from work. I bring the kids to sporting events. We use it just to go food shopping. We really use my vehicle as the primary vehicle in the house.
Anytime we're going anywhere as a family together, we always take the Tesla.
And even on nights where we only have one kid to transport somewhere, even if Chris is doing the driving, he's taking the Tesla. That's why our Tesla has so many miles.
So now that you know how we have used it, let's jump into some of the details about, over this period of time, things we found we liked and things we found we don't like. I think it's important to know when you first get your Tesla, there's a bit of a learning curve.
There is a learning curve, for sure.
Things just are kind of in different places. Like, especially in a Tesla, you kind of lose the normal dashboard of buttons, right? Everything kind of is controlled by that infotainment center screen. And I know a lot of people tend to really hate change when they first experience something new for the first time.
Oh, I'm one of those.
Yeah, you just kind of have to like grin and bear it as you go through it. You'll learn to love it and really appreciate it, I think.
And just take the time to learn it. Take the time to figure out the buttons and give yourself that time.
But one great easy way to learn how to quickly adapt to the different ways of navigating inside a Tesla is to watch videos. There's tons of them out there. Obviously, we've created a bunch.
And you have to wait a while for your car if you're waiting for a new one to be built. I watched all those videos even prior to getting the car, so it was a little bit easier, because when you're at that dealership picking up your car, it's right there in front of you. You got to drive it home somehow.
You're the one that drives this every single day. So why don't you kind of get us started with what your thoughts are?
I absolutely love my car. I actually don't enjoy driving his truck very much. It's just different. It's really one pedal driving. I use that gas pedal, and the regenerative braking is a game changer. But there's a lot of cool features. It's so easy. It is so nice that if you are sitting somewhere, say you get to dinner early, you're meeting somebody and you get to dinner early, your screen has so many options for you to do. You can play games, you can watch different YouTube videos, you can log into your Netflix account. So if I'm sitting at practice for an hour because it's 45 minutes away, there's no sense in driving home, I've got those options on my screen. There's just so many cool features and so many neat things about the car, in addition to how easy it is to drive and how nice it is to drive.
Let's start by hitting on some of the big categories.
Probably the number one question I get is, do you really not have to put gas and do oil changes? Like, really, we don't have to do oil changes.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Maintenance, right. there's no maintenance on a Tesla Model Y. Well, virtually no maintenance.
It's low maintenance, that's what I tell people.
Yeah, I mean, for us in the state of Pennsylvania, we have to do annual inspections on our vehicles. In PA, there's two different types of inspections we have to get. We have to get an emissions and we have to get a safety. For us, there's no emissions because it's literally a zero emissions car.
Right.
So we just have to take it in once a year for a safety inspection. So there's no oil changes.
No, which
there's
is so nice.
Really no brake changes. I mean, in the 3 years we've had ours and the 60,000 miles, we haven't had to have the brakes replaced.
Brakes are good. Tires, little different of a story.
So the tires are definitely something that is a maintenance item. First of all, you have to have them rotated every 10,000 miles because even though the Tesla Model Y, ours is an all-wheel drive vehicle, because of the weight of the vehicle, when it goes to kind of like launch and go, all that weight shifts to the back. So the rear tires chew through very quickly, which is why you have to rotate your tires every 10,000 miles. Now the ones that at least came with ours, they were Goodyears. We have gotten what, maybe like 15,000, maybe 20,000 at
It was
most.
under 20 for sure.
And those tires, well, they're not cheap because they're special tires that are built for heavy load vehicles. So because of that, they're expensive. They're like $400, $350 a tire.
But what we have found is I love driving my car fast sometimes, but it's not necessary all the time. So I have put it into chill mode since the second round of tires, and I do feel like that has made a difference.
We did just put on recently a pair of Michelins that have a 45,000 mile warranty on them. They seem to be doing pretty good. We'll report back.
I was just gonna say, it's a little early.
Yeah,
but
we'll report back when they actually do finally go, and we'll let you know what the mileage rack up on that was. But those are the only tires I've seen out there that actually have a decent warranty of like 45,000 miles. And they were in the same price range. I think they were about like 360, 370. They can be hard to find because they sell out super fast. So a lot of times they're on back order. So if you see them and you need tires, I recommend grabbing them.
That part has been huge. I love not having to go to the gas station on a weekly basis. I love not having to go for the oil changes and spending an hour waiting, sometimes an hour and a half for that. So that's been huge.
Actually, the lack of having to do regular maintenance can sometimes make you forget about basic things.
The tire rotation.
Well, yeah, that, and we actually ran out of windshield wiper fluid at one point because usually that gets topped off, when you take your car in for an oil
He takes such a good
change.
care of my car.
Same
I'm sure
thing
the car
with-
tells you.
No, actually it didn't.
Nuh-uh. You went to
Yeah.
use it and it was empty?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Come on, Elon. You
know,
tell me
right?
about everything else. So like a positive of Tesla is they have mobile service.
Yeah.
So there are some things where if you go into your Tesla app and you say what's wrong, like we had a broken seatbelt and it wasn't clicking, we were able to go in, they came to our house, they fixed it at our house, you know what you're gonna pay ahead of time. That part is amazing in Tesla service.
Awesome.
But if you need actual service to go somewhere for a mechanic to be on site, the closest one for us was Devon, which is a 45-minute to an hour drive. So that is a downfall. There are a lot fewer places, obviously, to bring your Tesla for something to be fixed. Now, soon, hopefully we have one 15 minutes away in Warminster at some point, but it is still a downfall. There's just not as many. And the wait.
Yeah, it can sometimes be a very long wait to get in to see Tesla. I mean, when like the seatbelt issue that Michelle just mentioned, it was a 2-week wait to have somebody address it. We had to go 2 weeks without a functioning seatbelt. So why don't we get into the driving?
It's a lot of fun to drive. It's a ton of fun. It's easy to drive. I love that I can double click the stalk and it takes me straight on the road. Now we don't have the full self-drive package. We just have the standard one that comes with the car. We have tried the other one and you can watch a video to see how that went, but we don't have it anymore. I do though use the regular one that comes with the car, and when you click, it takes me straight down the road and it's absolutely amazing. It keeps you in the lanes. There's some little flaws to it. Phantom braking, just like brakes out of nowhere. I'm like, come on, dude, there's nothing around.
The whole concept of one pedal driving, I think, is fantastic. I miss it a lot when I'm in my truck and I'm driving my truck.
And I think it makes you think about stopping sooner because I just don't want to use the brake. So I just make sure that I have enough room to start slowing down so that I'm not hitting the brake at all.
Obviously, it's super quick and it's fun to drive from an acceleration standpoint.
It sure is. It beats a lot of cars on the road.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome when you're out there and you know you're the fastest car on the road, and that
But people don't know that.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. The handling of it is amazing. It handles, I feel, more like a sports car than an SUV. So like you could take turns, you know, really tight at a good speed. I feel like all that is really good. I do got to say the suspension that comes with the Tesla Model Y is not very good. If you've heard those rumors about the Tesla Model Y ride isn't all that fantastic, I personally think that's correct. It's definitely more sports car-ish than it is luxury car-ish. So the Tesla Model S and the X come with the Air Ride suspension that is actually really, really good. The 3 and the Y do not come with it. They come with your normal coilovers, and I feel like they are a bit stiff and rough. The next category I think that people want to hear about that's important when they're picking out a car is safety.
You always say, is the third row really safe? I would hope so. I would hope they wouldn't put seats in the third row if it wasn't safe. Other cars have seats in the trunk too, other SUVs, but what the car itself could do for me for safety, like stopping when it needs to stop, recognizing hazards in the road. It doesn't recognize potholes or anything like that if you're using the self-drive, but it will recognize if there's cones in the road or something that's higher. So you really have to still pay attention because it's not going to catch the little things. But from a safety aspect, I have had no concern safety-wise.
Yeah, I mean, the Tesla Model Y is still the highest safety-rated vehicle, the highest safety-rated SUV on the roads in general. Clearly, it's a very safe car. I do worry because that third row backs up so much the trunk.
It's like right
it's like
here.
literally right behind our backs. If there's a child in the third row and you have a rear impact collision, what does that look like? Now, I know if you have a normal 5-seater, you're perfectly safe. You don't have to worry about it, even if they hit you at a really high speed. But there's been no tests and there's no data out there about rear end collisions on a 7-seat Tesla Model Y. If you know of any actual concrete data and tests that have been done, please drop a link down into the comment section below because I would love to see it. We did a video kind of about this. I even called out Mr. Beast. I think we should go buy a 3-row Tesla Model Y and make it into a crazy video where we slam a train into the back of it just so we can see if it's actually safe. And we had a situation where we were on a highway, we had a traffic jam, we came to an abrupt stop. The car behind us was skidding. Thankfully, they didn't hit us, but Brandon was in the third row, and it made me think after that happened, like, what would happen if they didn't stop and they did hit us in the back? Now, to Michelle's point, every third row vehicle that's out there, the third row typically is in like the trunk. I don't think it's probably any worse in a Tesla than it is in different vehicles, third row, but it's just something that does make me wonder. I'm also kind of curious as to why there aren't any tests or data out there about that. Elon, I think we should do that. Do a test on it, get it out there, let people know it is safe to be in the third row. It comes with all your normal bells and whistles for safety, airbags, side airbags, all that type of stuff. Collision warning, the braking system's fantastic, as Michelle pointed out. I honestly sometimes think that can lead,
testy.
yeah, it can almost lead to some rear end collisions because of how fast you can stop compared to other cars on the road. Not only have your normal brakes, but you have the regen brake helping, so I feel like it's double brake power.
So what about technology?
Technology. Obviously, that's like the creme de la creme of a Tesla.
I remember the one update that we got. It was like right after the first year we had the car, and the whole screen looked totally different. I'm like, dude, I gotta relearn this whole screen. But be patient because the technology updates are incredible. They're always, from my experience, for the better once you get used to the change. Like the newest one they just have, speaking of safety, when you put your turn signal on now, if there's a car that's on the left or the right, whatever way you're putting the turn signal on,
in
that blind spot, it comes up now and it's red on your screen like, hello, it's not just a subtle thing anymore. It's right there in your face that somebody's next to you. So they are constantly looking at ways to make it better.
It's like a phone. You know, usually when you buy a new phone and they come out with software updates every year, you get to update to the software and you get a lot of the benefits and stuff that's not hardware related. This is the same thing. With every year, you know, they're always coming out with updates. We've even gotten more range out of our batteries from an update. Right. I mean, that's crazy. We went from 317 miles of range when we first bought it to 326 a year later, just over an over-the-air update.
Right.
And you don't have to bring your car in to get those updates. You could do it right at home in your driveway. Because there are some other cars out there like the Ford Mach-E and some other manufacturers that do updates like this, but they make you bring your car in.
Right, it's another time where you have to be making an appointment or
Yeah.
showing up somewhere for a little while.
Right, and it's more
Just does
time
it
out
while
of,
I'm sleeping.
yeah, it's more time out of your schedule. It's more places that you have to drive. This just does it for you sitting in your driveway or your garage at home. Autopilot is absolutely fantastic. It's really good. There have been some times where it has kind of wigged out on me and, gone away, especially on turns on highways where you're next to a tractor trailer. I feel like it doesn't like that because, a lot of those tractor trailers, they kind of start, the trailer will go into your lane on a turn and the Tesla it doesn't like it. It thinks it's too close. So it'll start wigging out and tell you to take over. So, there's little things like that, but you get to learn them as it goes, I feel like. When you're in traffic, it's great, like on a highway.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice in traffic. Yes, when you're moving like 5 miles an hour. Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah, I feel like you use autopilot all the time. Even on local roads, you use it a lot. I personally don't use it on local roads because I find the downfall on local roads is that it doesn't, if there's like a pothole, it doesn't recognize it and steer you out of it or around it. If the pothole's in that straight, it's taking you in. So because of that, and again, our area in the Northeast, the roads aren't that great. So I don't like to use autopilot on local roads. I use it all the time on a highway. The autopilot to me is it's really awesome. The Tesla navigation is fantastic too.
Yeah, I love that I can send it right from my phone too. So like if I know that I'm going somewhere, I can search at home, find out where I'm going, send it to the Tesla, it's right there. And then the Tesla does all the work. It does all the calculations. I don't have to look for where am I going to charge, how close am I going to be. The Tesla takes the guessing work out of it.
A lot of EVs out there do that now. They all have that kind of navigation built in where it'll let you know where to stop and charge and things like that. But Tesla's, I think, is just a little bit better in general and more reliable. One thing to kind of keep in mind is more tech can also lead to more issues. Right. You can have things happen where all of a sudden your screen freezes up. We have that happen, not often, but every once in a while that'll happen.
Yeah, and it's weird. You can still drive your car. You just don't know how fast you're going.
Yeah,
It's a little weird.
Yeah. Look, when you have something that's super high tech, you're susceptible to those high tech issues.
It hasn't happened often, you're right.
Now they're easy to fix, and the one thing I say in all of my videos, right?
Always restart.
That's right. We talk about this all the time whenever she's having tech issues. I'm her tech support that she goes to, and what's the first question I always ask?
Did you restart it?
That's right. Restarting can solve most tech issues. And the same thing applies to a Tesla. Although the charging network is superior, when you go on things like road trips, you do got to keep in mind that you are going to be stopping more often. If you are thinking of getting an EV and switching to EV from a gas vehicle, if you do go on long trips,
be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared to stop a little bit more often. Pack your patience pants and be ready for little stops. And when you do stop, they usually tend to be about 15-20 minutes to charge back up and hit the road again. So it is only a short stop. And if it's around a time where like it's lunchtime or something like that, you can easily pair that up.
Yeah,
it's like
but
a
not
meal.
every 2 hours. I do not have the patience in the family.
Yeah. That video where we drove our Tesla to Florida, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, when we tried to beat the gas vehicle, we stood no chance of beating the gas vehicle. And for those that like to stop all the time, he gets to now stop all the time. I do not.
You can explore. So, usually the superchargers are around spots where there's stuff to kind of do. And if you plan it out ahead of time before you leave, you can kind of turn it into a fun little trip. We do videos where we review non-Tesla EVs. All of them are really great vehicles. And they all kind of have their own little specialties that I think they do really well. But the one thing that all of them don't have is the Tesla charging network. For the most part, the majority of the Tesla network is still a walled garden to just Teslas. And because they're everywhere.
And it's fast charging, they're more and more. So in the 3 years, they just keep growing since we've had the car.
And the biggest thing of all of them is that they're reliable. If the navigation tells you that you need to stop here and there's 8 stalls, that there's 8 stalls available, guess what? When you get there, there's gonna be 8 stalls available and they're all gonna be working. Countless times you can go to an Electrify America or an EV Go or one of those other non-Tesla charging stops that are out there, and you get there and there's no chargers that are operational. On a test review vehicle of a Porsche Taycan, it told me to go to a charging stop that wasn't even built yet. It was
never functional.
It was still under construction. The charging stations were all shrink wrapped still. Now, some people may not need the charging network. If you're not somebody that plans on taking road trips, or you're never going to drive outside of your car's range capability, then maybe you don't need that charging network. And if you don't, then the Tesla, you got to pay attention to other features of it. Like, I can tell you one thing I don't like about our Tesla, and many Teslas in general, is the build quality. The build quality really does lack in a Tesla,
right?
Especially compared to its price point. And when I compare it to other EVs that are out there, I feel like those are more quality builds. This is a nice car, don't get me wrong. It looks awesome, looks flashy, but a lot of the components inside, they creak, or they bend, or they're plastic.
Or the gaps on the outside.
Yeah, panel gaps on the outside is still a problem even many years later in production. I mean, I just feel like for our car, we paid what? It was like $70,000, I think, at the time when we bought our car. For the amount of money we spent on the car, I definitely expected it to be more premium and not have as many. Like, our seat creaks sometimes, depending on how you sit. And after 3 years, I've never had a problem like that in any car I've owned. A lot of the others, I mean, even like things like a Ford Mach-E, where they don't have those build qualities, and that's because those are manufacturers that have been building cars for many years. I felt like that was a good excuse at one point, but you got companies like Rivian that are just like Tesla. They're just coming up. They haven't been making cars for years, and their quality seems to be spot on too. I'm not quite sure why Tesla seems to miss the mark on build quality, but for me, that's my biggest issue with the Tesla Model Y, is the build quality.
So another downfall of the Tesla is the paint quality. Again, you're buying a car that's upwards of $60,000, $70,000, and the paint quality is not there. And if you don't do something to protect it, kind of pretty much in the beginning, it can be a downfall later on.
We actually put PPF on our car because we learned that lesson the hard way really quickly. We had a bunch of rock chips on the front of our car, and that was within the first like 3 months. The paint, I guess, is very thin, so because of that, it chips very easily, and that front nose is just like, I mean, it's aerodynamic, don't get me wrong, but it also
it
kind
attracts
of,
all the
yeah,
bugs
like
and
bugs
everything.
and stuff like that. So if any car in front of you is throwing anything up, the front of your car is going to very quickly take the abuse. I believe it's in their Tesla plant in Germany is where they've been working on trying to develop new paint, some new colors.
Maybe they'll have purple.
What is with you and wanting purple?
I want a purple car.
She wants a purple car so bad. I
have too many males in my life. I want purple.
We had her car wrapped with some special PPF that made it matte.
Finish is awesome.
Oh my gosh, it looks so amazing. And afterwards, she's like, it looks so good, but it's still not purple. Let us know down in the comments below. Would you still watch the channel if this channel became about a Model Y that was purple? You wouldn't mind watching the channel still, even if the car was purple? Smash that like button and drop a comment down below, and then maybe we'll turn her car purple for Michelle.
We had a Chevy Traverse. 2 in the front, 2 in the middle for captain seats, 3 in the back. So it was a 7-seater, which was plenty of room in that respect for everybody all the time. When we got this 7-seater, our kids were a lot smaller. Brandon was still able to sit in the 3rd row. We have a video that just kind of looks at the 7-seater and that 3rd row in particular. So if you want to watch it to see how it would fit for your family or your lifestyle, check that out. But when I first heard 7-seater, I thought, great, like 7-seater, I can take 2 friends with us all the time. So that'll be the 5 of us plus 2, we'll fill every seat. It's really not that functional when you become a certain height. And unfortunately, 2 of our 3 kids are over the height. That 3rd row is way too small for them. So we only have Mason, who's still able to sit in the 3rd row. And even if we put a little friend back there, it would be hard to go to Hershey Park and have 2 of our kids bring friends.
If you're on the fence between the 5-seater and the 7-seater, definitely check that video out, because it's gonna tell you all about what the 7-seater is and its limitations. It's great for little kids, not so great for teenagers and up. It's just kind of one of those things that's nice to have if you ever need it. Now that comes at a cost, so if the Tesla Model Y is gonna be a stretch for you financially, maybe that's not worth the extra couple $1,000s to you that it is, and that's perfectly understandable.
Probably the other positive that I think is the storage. I wasn't sure, again, going from a Traverse to something that was a smaller size SUV, there's so much more storage than I had anticipated, a lot of kind of hidden nooks and crannies. So the front has been huge. I love being able to put stuff up there. It's a very easy access point. Underneath the seats, there's a lot of storage too. So we obviously have added an accessory to be able to slide in and out to hide stuff under there, but it's another great place to store stuff like playing cards for the kids. So we have kind of that extra stuff, but storage wise, it had a lot more storage than I thought.
There's a ton of storage. The Tesla's really good about automating your life. What I mean by that is it has the ability where you can tell it schedule-wise, hey, this is what time I normally leave every day. And not only will it make sure that the batteries are at the level you want them to be at that exact moment when you normally would leave, but it'll also pre-warm your car and get it to your exact desired temperature, make everything exactly ready for you to go when you get in and you feel comfortable at that exact time.
It is nice in the morning.
And that's something that I don't really see on very many vehicles that are out there. For us in the Northeast, and for anybody that lives in an environment where it gets cold, maybe certain seasons, the Tesla is not the best car in cold weather. Now, every EV is going to have efficiency issues in cold weather. But for the Tesla, because it has those really cool door handles that pop out, and because the doors are frameless, but it always slides up and down every time you open the door, after a snowstorm or an ice storm, all that freezes over.
Yeah. We need room in the garage this winter. That's what needs to happen. Because that is not fun taking a hairdryer to your car to be able to get into your car. Even with the nice climate control in the morning, it's not enough sometimes to get that window unstuck.
Yeah, the one day Michelle had to climb into her car through the trunk. I'm very sorry I missed that and didn't get it on video.
I wasn't very happy that morning.
The last thing that I think it's important to talk about is cost savings. Right? I feel like that's a big reason why a lot of people want to switch to EV is because it's cheaper. The car itself is a bigger investment up front, but there's savings in the end. Have you found that to be true?
From what I was paying in the Chevy Traverse to what we are paying, we save every single week essentially because it's so much cheaper to charge at our house, even taking out the fact that we have solar panels.
So every time we filled up our Traverse, it was about $40 to $60 every time we filled it up. So every month, I mean, that's about $200 to $250 just in gas. Our electric bill, obviously it went up when we bought our Tesla, but it only went up by about $80 a month. I mean, it didn't go up by that much. So that was a big savings in just being able to drive the car a lot more cheaply. And we drive a lot.
And like with the Traverse, obviously we needed oil change about 4 times a year. So we didn't have oil changes. We don't have oil changes anymore. We don't have to do the emissions. We only have to do the state inspection in Pennsylvania. So that was the savings. I haven't had to do brakes yet. Tires, we had to kind of do them in both cars. So when you look at kind of the overall, I do think that it's been an overall cost savings all around.
There are some pieces that can be more expensive. Obviously the tires that we already mentioned. Insurance can be more expensive on a Tesla, on an EV in general, because they're more expensive vehicles.
And I think I heard that some states charge you more, don't they, depending?
They do. So there are some states out there that will charge you an astronomical registration fee if you have an EV, because they know that they're losing the money that you would normally pay on the gas tax that you would buy in a gas vehicle. So they charge it to you through a registration fee, which I think is absolutely horrible. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania is debating about doing that. I know like California and there's some other states out there that already do it. And I'm so very sorry if you live in one of those states. I think it's absolutely horrible that they're trying to take advantage of you doing something good for the environment and trying to save a little bit of money yourself. I've heard that there are some that are like $350 to register your EV for the year, which is just crazy to me. So there can be other little hidden expenses elsewhere, but for the most part, it is cheaper. Supercharging isn't as cheap as charging at your own house. It's usually like at least half the cost if you charge at home compared to a supercharger, if not even more. Let me ask you the big question then. If tomorrow I said, hey, let's go buy a new car, what car would you want?
I want to look at the Tesla Model X.
Okay, that's fair.
I really don't want to leave the Tesla family right now. I don't want to go back to a gas-powered vehicle. There's no other EV that I have found. We even last year went to the car show and looked at a bunch of the different cars, and there's just nothing else out there that I would want to move to. The only one I'd eventually like to explore is the Model X. Any better for the taller kids in our family? That would be the only question.
For me, I would definitely want an EV, 100%. So this is my whole take, right? So I actually prefer the build quality of some of the other vehicles that are out there. Like that Porsche Taycan, it's amazing. I think that there are better built vehicles out there.
But that range anxiety when you got to a stop.
But the charge network,
It wasn't even a working stop to
it
charge.
just makes it a no-brainer decision. So for me, as much as I would prefer the build of a different vehicle, I would still buy a Tesla again, just because I know the charge network is 100% reliable. And I know I never have to worry about it. Well, there you have it, our review after having it for 60,000 miles, which I'm still completely baffled that we've had our vehicle for that long, and 3 years. If it did help you, please smash that like button. It helps out a ton in the YouTube algorithm. And check out some of those videos we mentioned along the way, because we've got a whole library of great Tesla stuff that we've done over our 3 years with our car. Also, make sure to
subscribe.
That's right.
Don't miss anything.
Hit that subscribe button. It's right next to the like button. There's a 2-for-1 special while you're down there.
And if you did just order a Tesla, good luck. I hope you love it just as much as we did. And if you own one, I hope it keeps going well for you.
If you are thinking about buying a Tesla too, make sure to use a referral code when you buy it. If you know somebody that has a Tesla, ask them for theirs. It'll save you like $500 or $1,000. If you don't know somebody who has a Tesla, don't worry. You can use our referral code. It's down in the description below. And if you do use our referral code, first of all, thank you very much. But second of all, make sure to send us a picture of you on your delivery day. That's right. Thanks as always for watching, guys. And we'll see you in another one real soon.